All right, it is Tuesday, October 9th, and it has been a pretty big week for Houston sports, James. We had Sunday night, the Texans beat the Cowboys in the battle for Texas on Sunday Night Football. Barely squeaked it out, but they won it nonetheless. And the Astros swept the Cleveland Indians, and they will be going on to face the winner of the Boston New York series, which is currently in the bottom of the sixth inning right now. Boston's winning the game 4-1. If it holds, it looks like we'll be going to Boston for Game One. But it's been a big week for Houston sports, man. And let's kick things off with the Texans. We saw Deshaun Watson lead the Texans to a win against the Cowboys, and we're now 2-3. Still not, 2-4. Still not at 500, but it's looking a little bit more promising than the beginning of the season for sure. But what did you think about the win?
Um, Thank you, Jason Garrett. I mean, no, but in all seriousness, man, they shut down one of the best running backs in the game. Um, Zeke only had like 50 yards, 55 or something like that, which is incredible considering he was getting carries. I mean, the O line that we thought, I mean, they're not as good as they have been in past years, but still a pretty damn good O line, and it just seemed like Clowney and Watt and company just did well against a really good rushing attack, a really good O line, and Dak is, I don't know what's going on in his head, man. He seems, I mean, for all the stuff that we give Deshaun right now, it just seems like he's like doubly more like overwhelmed than anybody else. Realistically, man, it was a good win. I'd like to see a lot of things improve, but I mean, a win's a win. I mean, I can't complain about it. Like you said, it was a big week for Houston sports, and it was really nice to see the Astros do what they did, and the Texans pulled out a win. And if you're a UT fan, UT pulled out the Red
Oh
River
yeah,
Shootout. I don't care what
oh
anyone
yeah.
says. So I mean, it was a fairly productive weekend for Houston sports and Texas sports in general, if you think about it. So, but the Rockets are playing their last preseason game tonight, and we'll see what they're about. And
Yeah.
you know, uh, Dynamo's still doing their damn thing. They're still just destroying people. I mean, I had someone ask me about this today. It's a little kind of off topic, but they were kind of just saying, Houston when they got their sports going right, it's a great time to be in, and it's very true. And it seems like everyone's on board except for the Texans at this point. Um, there's really nothing more that can be said about Bill O'Brien that hasn't already been said. His play calling still at times is unbelievably questionable.
Yeah.
I would say it's more of a 50-50 deal between Watson trying to do maybe a little too much and him not putting Watson and/or the offense in the best, situation to complete whatever it is. I mean, he missed a wide open Griffin in the end zone on one of those plays, and hey, it is what it is. A win's a win. I'm looking forward to Buffalo, and I'm kind of curious to see if Watson's going to play or not. I can't believe that was even a topic of conversation today on sports media. So
Yeah. I think one thing, barring his, whether or not he's going to play, one thing we have to be excited about, one thing Texans fans have to be excited about right now is the way he's playing. Now, you can say what you want to say about, oh, he hangs onto the ball too long, oh, he takes sacks, whatever. This guy's putting up consistent 300-yard games, and he is playing his ass off, and he wants to win. As a matter of fact, he's number 6 in the league right now in passing yardage. And, it's give and take. He's good for one interception a game, but he tries to make plays, even if it costs us an interception at times, costs us a possession. I like that we have a guy who at least wants to win and is out there making plays and putting up big numbers, man. At the end of the day, the only number that matters is the numbers on the scoreboard. But you know,
right.
I just love what I'm seeing for him, and I really think this guy is something special. And to be honest, it's still his rookie season when you think about it. I mean, he only played a few games in his true rookie season. This is his first season actually taking the helm with a full year God forbid anything happens, and a fully healthy offense. I mean, this guy has Will Fuller, who's been balling out. He has DeAndre Hopkins, who's leading the league in receiving yards, and Kiki Cowdy, who has emerged as a key player on this offense. Let me tell you, I'm not calling him Cutie Ray. I refuse to call the man Cutie. But this guy is going to be a player for the Texans in the future. I mean, I know you say you need a full season and whatnot, but this guy, man, he's making plays. He's impressing me. I haven't seen anything too bad from him that I completely dislike. But this guy, he's really impressed me so far, man. And I hope he keeps up the production. He took a nasty hit during the game. I'm glad he got up and he was able to keep going. But I was scared for a second because that kind of crippled our receiving corps for a bit. But Fuller, Hopkins held it down. He came back in the game, and our tight ends did some work for us too as well. I like what I'm seeing from the passing attack. The rushing game is a different story, but I really think that Bill O'Brien, like you said, it's always the same story with him. He had some okay moments during the game as far as play calling. He did a lot better this game, actually. I'll give him that. He called a much better game than this season's past, but he still, he tries to pound that rock down your throat, even if it's not working. And it's so predictable. And if it's not working, I don't understand why he keeps trying to force it. When you're having some good chemistry and you're moving the ball well with Deshaun and he's passing the ball, he's making plays, he's getting you down the field. I mean, that last play in overtime to DeAndre Hopkins getting you down into field goal range was evidence enough. I mean, this passing attack, when you let Deshaun go, when you let him scramble out the pocket and find a guy that's open, we move the ball. Let Deshaun be Deshaun. Put the game in his hands, and we win games. Plain and simple.
Yeah, it's not even a matter of. It's one thing if the offense is not producing at all, right? But in this case, they're moving the ball. They're moving the ball, and they move the ball at will on a pretty solid defense. It's the red zone, man. It's the numbers in the red zone are abysmal. I mean, you got to think about it. Last year, with limited time, the Texans as a team for the season were almost 50. They're 52. I think 52% in the red zone and converting for touchdowns or scores. This year they're 36. I mean, that's a very drastic drop off within a span of just a season. Not even I would not even say a full season, half a season. Like you said, Deshaun Watson hasn't even played a full 16. I mean, he's 11, 12 in now, and we still going to see more. And I think the one positive that I really take from this is that the O-line looked way better than anything I've seen in a while.
And that Dallas pass rush ain't too shabby either.
Nope. They finally got smart, moved Davenport back to left tackle, like I've been saying this whole freaking time. Actually, I think we've both been saying it, Then they moved Lamb to right tackle, which admittedly, and I'm a man of my word, I didn't think he would be that good. He had a solid game, man.
Yeah.
Penalties were way down, helped contribute. I mean, again, if you live by the box score and the stats, I mean, you look at the stats, and we destroyed Dallas in a lot of ways. Time of possession, first downs, yardage, just it was insane. But in the end, it was an overtime win that shouldn't have been. We left 15 to 18 points on the board because we couldn't score within not even the 20, but inside the 10.
On the one a few times too.
Yeah, exactly. So, I understand it and I get it. And I like seeing that the O-line gelling, the tight ends getting involved. You mentioned that. I love that. I think that just needs to be more of a focal point. I'm not a big fan of Griffin, but hey, he had a great game. He finally, it's this really nice. You got to keep in mind, DeAndre Hopkins is leading in yards, and he's the number one priority, and everyone knows it. Yet they can't stop him. Then all of a sudden, Kiki comes out of nowhere, and he starts balling out, and looks like seemingly you can't really stop him either. Will Fuller, if they use him in the right direction, he's becoming better and better every season, despite my most sincere disdain for this guy. But I mean, you can't argue that. Like I said last time, he's quite a focal point to the offense. And in my opinion, I mean, when you have that many weapons on offense and you're spreading it around and you're moving the ball at will, and it's very nice to see. I just want him to put it together in the red zone. That's all I'm asking for. Just put together in the red zone. I think what I've noticed more so than anything, when Houston moves the ball, it's usually, like you said, bootlegs, Deshaun scrambling, motion plays. Motion plays seem to work really well for us. Misdirection plays. Look at that play DeAndre Hopkins got. I don't know if you remember, but Kiki went in motion, then came into the backfield. And then they did a play fake to Blue, and Kiki went to the other side to pretend like he was going to get the handoff just to give enough time for D-Hop to come across. And next thing you know, D-Hop has this incredible catch, run, spinning identity. This guy was just spinning all over the place, making Lawrence look like a fool. Yeah, I mean, and the only thing I didn't like about that play was him palming the ball. I know he's got strong hands, dog. I know he's got strong hands, but man, him palming the ball like that, you'd figure after the fumble he had earlier in the game that maybe he would have tucked that in. But at that point, he was just trying to get yards, and he was not going to go down unless 2 or 3 guys got on him, which is what happened. So, I mean, you can get positives from this last game, but like I said, man, give me the 500, we'll have a conversation, because as of right now, I feel like I gave birth after watching that game. It was just so nerve wracking, dude. It was like, can you please? We should have beat them by like almost 28 points, dude. You know, like it was kind of an embarrassment because we're moving at will, but then we stall. And I understand their defense is good, but good Lord, man, please, can I get in the end zone just a little bit? I just think they need to run more misdirection, more quote-unquote gimmicky plays, if you will, you know, and open up some spots. Because, again, with Sean Watson, when he's involved and he's got some kind of play action or some kind of jet sweeps coming in the backfield, he does like a fake, or even that little shuttle pass. Look what happened. Shuttle pass, boom, Kiki to the house. You see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if there's any validity to what I'm saying, just look at that play by itself. Look at the play last year with the Seahawks. Play broke down, going down to one knee, Lamar Miller right there in the end zone. I mean, you got to take the good with the bad right now. And, you know, I'm still kind of wondering why you're running ace high, you know, up the middle dives when the game clock is dwindling down in the fourth quarter, when you need to be spreading the ball around. I mean, I understand keeping defense honest, but good Lord. It's like, seems like everyone knows we're going to run the ball on first down. It's almost a nightmare. And I understand you need to keep, you know, Watson upright, obviously. You don't want to see him get injured. And I got to say, I'm a little worried how healthy he really is right now. But if you're going to run an ace backfield, can we at least run like a bootleg or a play action off of it? Because anytime we're an ace, they know it's going to be a run. They stack the box every single time. You see that formation. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. You know, bring on the Bills. I mean, this is a Bills team that's looked abysmal most of the season, except for all of a sudden they beat the Titans last week. You know, and
did us a favor, to be honest. We're one game out of first place.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, we were given a gift, and I'm just very thankful we were able to capitalize on it, because we're right back in the hunt now, automatic, like just within 2-week time frame. So.
And it's amazing to think. I mean, we said this in the last episode before the Cowboys game. I mean, we can go, for me as a fan, because it looked from the beginning of the season like this team could possibly lose out. And we could go, you know, lose the rest of the season. I just did not want to take a loss to Dallas. I couldn't stomach it. I wouldn't be able to, for the next 4 years, hear that. I'm glad we got this win. If we lose out, you know, it'll be because of the same old play calling, poor execution on the part of, you know, Deshaun, whether it be just throwing up random throws to try and make a play or holding onto the ball too long or getting himself injured because he did throw himself a lot in that game too, and it was very scary. But I really think that if these guys, I'm not going to have any hope at this moment, but if these guys can get back to 500 and at least tie for first place for a week, I'll have a little more optimism. And I am starting to get a little more optimism, but I won't get fully on board with it until we get back to 500 because we can't be taken seriously until we at least get to 500. We just can't. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm very interested about that Buffalo game. I mean, it depends on which Buffalo shows up. To be honest with you, you don't know what you're gonna get. They're a wild card team, and quite honestly, you don't know what Texans you're gonna get. These guys on paper should stomp Buffalo out. It should not even be a close game. This should be a 40-13, 40-10 game. I mean, and those 10 and 13 points should come in garbage time. So this team is so much better than Buffalo. And Bill O'Brien he really needs to blow these guys out to prove that he's a somewhat competent coach because this is such a winnable game with the roster you have. You have no excuse to lose this game whatsoever. And if you do, by God, people are going to be calling for this man's pink slip. If you thought they were calling for it in the beginning of the season, imagine how bad it's going to be if you lose to Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm debating on whether I want to say this because if I do, it'll be out in ether, and if it happens, everyone's going to come to our podcast and just blow us up.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. Go ahead.
I would not be shocked if all of a sudden Josh Allen has a coming out party and destroys Houston.
I wouldn't be surprised either, to be honest with you. We've made
guys.
We lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, fronted by none other than
Blaine Gabbert, dude. And it's like, oh my God, man. If anything's going on with Shady McCoy, I would say that would be my prime worry, honestly. But man, it would be such a Houston-esque kind of thing for just all of a sudden Josh Allen finds it. He's like, he gets it now, and it's against our abysmal secondary, and it would just be just the icing on the cake, man. But I don't think that'll happen because Reich historically has had a really good defense game plan against rookie quarterbacks. Throughout his career, he's always, anytime he's played that quarterback for the first time, chances are they're not winning. And defensive play calling this last game was, again, I think was well, all things considering with the talent they had on the line and Zeke. I mean, like I said at the beginning of our podcast, man, the one thing that concerns me is who's going to keep up with Ezekiel Elliott. Well, even though he had some moments, but Zach Cunningham was all over it.
Yes, he was.
All over
yes,
it.
he was.
He had a crucial third down stop late in that game. He read that in 2 seconds flat and destroyed them. Just pushed them right at the line of attack, and it was awesome to see. So, I think if we stay within our game, and, spread the ball around misdirection, don't get conservative, and just let Deshaun go off. I mean, if there was ever time to blow out a team, this would be the time. With all things clicking and people having a better vibe about, what the Texans are showing, I'm not expecting Bill to ever call a perfect game, but I need him to be as close to perfect as humanly possible. And again, that all starts with do you step on the gas, like you said? Do you step on the gas, go for the throat, or do you patty cake and play to lose? And no matter what the situation is with this man, I don't know. I'm assuming he's smart enough to know that everyone knows when they're up, they get conservative and they come after you, and that's usually when all the mistakes happen. So they have to be on their game, and if they are, at home, it's hard for me to envision Buffalo coming in here and just putting a whooping on us. But then again, as I said, I would not shock me if all of a sudden Josh Allen puts it together and just starts torching people in our secondary. So we'll see what happens. I'm hopeful. Glass half full again. Try not to be totally negative on it. So.
One thing I think we need to point out is J.J. Watt, who, by the way, is tied for first place with his brother and Kiko Alonso. I'm sorry, not Kiko Alonso, that's tackles. He's tied with his brother T.J. Watt and Geno Atkins from Cincinnati for most sacks in the league right now at 6. So it's a three-way tie at 6 sacks. JJ's back. JJ is JJ right now, and he needs to keep it that way. But Jadeveon Clowney has also been very disruptive on the defensive side of the ball. I won't go ahead and say that he's earning the Khalil Mack money that he's asking for by any means, but he is definitely that noise is James shaking his head consistently, but he's definitely being disruptive. Him and JJ right now are disrupting offenses big time. Even though it was just Indianapolis and Dallas who are pretty much at the bottom of the NFL right now, along with us. I really think that these guys are going to be a huge help for us going forward if they can stay in form, because they're being very disruptive, and it's honestly a huge chunk of why we're winning these games.
Right, and like I said, this is what we've been expecting for years. We've been waiting for this kind of tandem for a while, and now we see it. Something that Romeo Crennel did not do up until the Dallas game is this last game he played a lot of 4-3, 4-6 bare fronts, meaning Jadeveon Clowney was not roaming around nearly as much, and his hand was in the dirt. And as much as I don't like Clowney, I've always said, if you keep this man's hand in the dirt, he's a force. And he proves me right every single time. If he's standing up, yeah, he can be disruptive, but to me, it just his natural 4-3 in position makes him just a nightmare for anybody. I mean, if you go back to the Dallas game, I think it was the first couple of series, Tyron Smith had Clowney. He actually threw Clowney around a little bit. But after that, Clowney manned up and made that man his little girl all night long. You got him coming. You got Watt coming. Merciless is yet to be found, but I have a theory on that. Just readers just steadily improving every game, and he's even though he's a middle guy and he gets doubled a lot, you gotta say. I mean, I remember not too long ago, Vince Wilfork was in that same position and getting pushed back, and Reader just doesn't get pushed back. There's not many times you see someone come right up the gut where Reader was at because he's getting blown off the ball. So give credit where credit's due. A combination of defensive linemen swapping in and out, our linebacker core playing pretty decent. McKinney, hey, thank you, B-Mac, for coming back to life. Appreciate that. That was very helpful. And everyone keeps asking me what's going on with Merciless, and I say this every year. Merciless is playing out of position. Merciless' strongest suit is at the weak side outside backer position. He is not going to have the same impact as the strong side backer. That's just how that works. But the problem is Whitney's so fundamentally sound that he sets the edge and does exactly what your strong side backer should do. Set the edge. Don't let anything get on the outside of you. Maybe get to the pass rusher if you can. And so I can't really blame him, because I think you got to remember all of Whitney Merciless's greatest stats are when he's on the weak side, whether it be Clowney was out or they moved Clowney down and pushed him out. It's just he eats more from the weak side, and he's always been like that. But he's doing his job. I mean, you don't think about it. We don't hear anything from Whitney Merciless, but I don't go on here going, "Oh, Merciless is horrible. That was a bad signing. We should have re-signed him." He does what he's supposed to do at this point in this system. And if he finds a way to get to the quarterback, and Carney finds a way, I mean, you have to think about it as Texans fans. You at one point can have Reader, Covington, Ejiofor, Clowney, Merciless, and Watt all rushing a passer. That is a disgusting nightmare of a front seven that I would put up against any O-line in the league right now. You don't have enough. You just don't have enough, and you would have to chip them with tight ends, chip them with receivers, which means or chip them with running backs, and then which means the receivers they have to find a way to get open. And let's be honest, in our secondary they could, but unless it's a quick slant or a screen or something of that nature, you're not really gonna have the deep play on us. You have to go back and think about it. Of all the games we've played, there's not really many big, humongous plays going against us, unless it's a screen pass. I'm talking about long bombs, big post pattern moves. Even T.Y. Hilton, they had a few, but I'd say those are medium range throws, not deep over the top throws. No one wants to throw over the top because you got the honey badger back there patrolling, and Reed, man, Reed is a stud, man. I am very impressed with him, and he's only going to get better.
Had an interception in the Cowboys game.
Yep, and whatever happened to Kareem Jackson, okay, we needed more corners. He said, fine, I'll play corner again, no problem. And then all of a sudden, man, that's what I'm talking about. That's the Kareem Jackson we've been waiting for a couple of years now, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And it seems like with the versatility of him playing a mixed match between safety and corner, it seems like he's in the game more. He's more fluid. He's more aggressive in a lot of ways if you think about it. So it's just we have pieces there. It just all needs to gel together. And someone said this earlier today, one of my friends, and I agree with him. I honestly think, as dumb as this sounds, we just needed to knock the rust off. Seriously.
Yeah, I agree.
Because every week, as much as we gripe, every week they get better and better. And, well, let's be honest, the wins aren't pretty, but they're wins. You know what I mean? They're wins. They're like, it's hard to find a whole bunch to complain about when you're throwing dubs on the board. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, honestly, if I was a player on the team, I'd be like, man, first you guys complain that we don't win, and now you guys don't complain that we don't win good enough. So I can understand it. I can understand it from that point. But man, it's frustrating when you see these games so close against teams like Indianapolis and the Dallas Cowboys, who we know for a fact we are so much better than them on paper, so much. And James, I think this team can win a Super Bowl. With this talent that they have right now, this team can win a Super Bowl. I truly believe that. It's just play calling and execution. And I think you touched on it last time we talked. Gary Kubiak's offense, albeit he didn't run a lot of fancy plays, he ran a lot of the same plays, but he made sure his guys ran those plays to perfection. It was about execution, and it was about executing those plays that he liked to use, but being able to do them well. And you have a guy like Bill O'Brien who he may like to choose and try different things, like that god-awful shovel pass we saw for the 2-point conversion not too long ago. But I feel like they practice plays in quantity and not quality. And I think that's probably what they do in practice, and it's evident on the field.
I totally agree. I completely agree with that. And I'm assuming, because I'm not a pro football player, never have been, I'm assuming that there is a 80-page playbook from Bill O'Brien. You're supposed to know it all. And I'm willing to bet that of the group, maybe 30 plays really resonates with the talent they have.
Yeah.
Right. And so, again, it's like I said before, it seems like when O'Brien has to, quote-unquote, dumb down his playbook, we move the ball, right? I don't understand. And here's something that I've really kind of noticed that is really starting to agitate me. Bill O'Brien always talked about playing up tempo. Where has that been this year?
Exactly.
When we play up tempo, we move the ball.
We definitely
move the ball well. We're one, in my humble opinion, we're one of the best no huddle offenses in the league. I'm not gonna lie,
And that
because
even
if
extends
we've
to the
got
previous generation. The
exactly,
previous generation was the same thing. Shaw, Foster, Johnson, when they ran hurry up offense, there's a culture about this football team where when you run hurry up offense, it just works. But there's also a culture where these coaches don't implement it regularly.
no, and I just for someone who wants to be Belichick, let's be honest, that's what Obi wants. He wants to be Belichick.
Yeah.
Well, Belichick is already run a lot of no huddle, and they're doing odd times too. I'm talking like first 3 minutes of the game right out the gate, they're running no huddle, and you're like, oh, what is this? Because Belichick knows, and if he gets Tom in a rhythm, it's over.
For sure.
It's over.
Yeah.
And if you've got a defensive mismatch on the first series, and they're going to exploit it, and that's what to me that's what a good coach does. And Bill O'Brien does not do that. As a matter of fact, he's quite the opposite. Oh, it's 30 seconds left in the game. Oh, okay, I'll run this right up the middle. What? Why? What? Not only
Second and 20,
middle,
quarterback draw.
Yeah, I mean, like, where do you? I mean, in what Madden league does this work for you, man? Because in the real life, it doesn't work, and it just, like you said, it frustrates you to no end. Because talent wise, other than the corners on our team, and I'll say the offensive line still, but other than that, we can go up against anyone in this league. I firmly believe that. But it has nothing to do with the talent on the team. It has to do with the coaches on the team. And people don't understand that. Like, how can you say that? Look at what you're doing. Well, because I know who the coach is. I know what they're going to be, the positions they're going to be put into. There's one thing to have, realistic expectations on what you can and cannot do in a game. But when you start making it even harder by some of the moronic calls that you have, which is apparent by everyone except you. You're the only one that thinks they're great calls. With 30 seconds left in the game, you're running up the middle. For what? To set up the next two plays? Like, no one in the right mind is going to think you're going to go, okay, we'll run it on 2nd and 9 with 10 seconds left in the game. Like, it's moronic calls, man. But I agree with you. With the talent we have, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to run the table.
Can you imagine how successful this team would be with an Andy Reid?
Oh my God, man! Not even an Andy Reid. Like I said, give me North Turner as an offensive coordinator, and this team would destroy people. You give me Sean Payton.
Oh God!
Are you kidding me?
That's not even fair.
Are you kidding me? What people don't understand, what kills me about people when they talk about Sean Payton is Sean Payton is a red zone offensive genius. He just knows how to get in the end zone when he gets within the 20. That is the bread and butter of Breeze and Payton. They can get there and they can torch you for a lot of yards through the air and big plays, but their bread and butter is in the red zone. If New Orleans Saints are in the red zone, I'm pretty sure they're coming away with points. It's very few times where I don't see the Saints convert something, and more times than not, it's a touchdown and not just a field goal or a turnover. So I don't know, man. It kills me, just the imagination of what could be with someone who would take Deshaun's strengths and utilize them an entire game, not just 3/4 of a game or first half of a game, but a whole game. And that's what I'm looking for, man. Just, okay, you don't have to be, and I'll say this right now, you don't have to be perfect. I'm not asking you to be, because no one's going to be perfect in play calling. Even the glorious Bill Belichick is not going to be perfect in play calling or how he runs his team. He will screw up every now and then. But that's the key. Every now and then, not every single week, to where it's a detriment and you almost lose games or lose them. So, I don't know. To me, I'm just glad to see the Astros move on.
Yeah.
I'm almost burnt out on fucking
One
Texas.
quick thing before we move on to what we really want to talk about. A team you can be proud of in Houston. Um, Final prediction before Buffalo. How do you see it going? Score, winner?
um, I say 28-17 Houston. In that, and I preface that with if Watson's playing,
Yeah, yeah.
because
If Watson's playing, I agree, and
yeah,
I'm a little more confident in this one. I think they show up. I think I think they get the job done. I think they do what they're supposed to do. I'll go 31-17 Houston.
all
I,
right,
I I think if Deshaun's playing, I think I just can't. I don't. My brain doesn't even want to imagine a scenario where they lose this game or where it's close. There's no reason for it to be. And I know that
right.
that that they've dropped the ball in the past with teams like this before. But God, my brain is not allowing me to believe that it happens against the Bills. Not this team. I just can't. So I'm going with that. I'm thinking they win it comfortably. So we'll
And that's a good prediction.
we'll leave the Texans talk there and we'll revisit next week after Buffalo. Let's talk about the Astros, James. The Astros are
Let's talk about them Stros,
killing
dude. Let's do it.
killing right now, sweeping Cleveland, who honestly I was very scared of. I mean, I was very scared for this series. I thought it was going to go down to the wire. I was scared of this pitching rotation that they have. We swept them, and we did it convincingly. This team is on fire, and Alex Bregman is leading the way.
It is such a relief to see a successful franchise in all its magnificence. But they're nothing special, right? They're nothing special.
Yeah, they're
They're
nothing
just like
special.
us.
Yeah.
They're nothing special. Yeah, nothing special. Just swept you, bro. Just swept you bad. It was, the funny part about it is, what kills me is they weren't even like even the third game. You get into the seventh, and all of a sudden, 3 runs later, we're up a little bit, and then 6 runs later in the eighth, and I'm like, dude, we beat you by like maybe double digits every game. Like, I mean, if and for all the accolades and all the comparisons of pitching and stuff like that, the bullpen for Cleveland just Trevor Bauer. Thank God you were Cleveland, bro. Thank you. That's all I can say. Don't ever come back here ever because and it's funny because when Bregman was asked about the Bauer, true. Did you know he was going to throw that pitch? I loved his response. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know. And I love that because he's not being a smartass or a jerk about it, right? He's being. I'm not going to give you what I know. Overly, like I love about Houston. They don't give what they know away. It's within house. They're not going to tell anyone what they're going to do. They'll give you a sample of what they're thinking about, but it may not be what they're doing. And I love that. And see, Luna's the same way. And I've got a kind of a little story about Luna a little bit later, but this team, man, I went into this series going, wow, the one team that I feared the most, we play first. And I was like, man, this is going to be a long, drawn-out series. I always thought Boston was going to put it on New York, to be perfectly frank with you. New York's pitching staff is just not what everyone says it is. I think there's a lot of media bias in that personally. Boston truly doesn't scare me either. Realistically, they lost pieces compared to the last series that we played them, and they didn't really add too many pieces to their like to me. I don't fear Boston, and I don't fear anybody.
No.
After that,
Cleveland was the team. Cleveland was the team.
Yeah, Cleveland was the one team that just horrified me, and they went in there and spanked them. They just spanked them. I hate that if the score is over Boston, I hate that we're gonna have Boston will have home field advantage. I hate that.
Yeah.
But Houston plays better on the road anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about that. So it's again, glass half full. I'm really happy to see that it seems like everyone is peaking except for Correa. But
Yeah. But
maybe with a
he
home
had a
run,
home run.
yep, maybe
He's
that home
slowly
run gets
getting
him off
back
the
in.
snide.
Slowly getting back into form.
Right. And I have a theory about Correa. I don't think he's injured at all.
Nope.
I kind of agree with Josh Innes on this.
Yeah.
It's all mental.
It's mental.
Ever since he proposed to that girl, he's been out of whack. I'm telling you, think about
Yeah,
it.
no,
Ever
you're
since
right.
he proposed to that girl, he's been out of whack.
Yeah.
I think his mind is on something else, and it ain't on baseball. And though he may have a few lingering injuries, I don't think it's hampered him to the point to where he's slow to the ball, as AJ Hinch would say. I don't feel. It doesn't feel like that is, but he could turn it around. So that could have been the catalyst right there. And if he gets hot, oh Lord, if he gets
There's
hot,
no stopping this team.
Springer's like the best hitter I've seen in the postseason ever. He just destroys everybody. I have no fear of my bullpen. I have no fear of my starting pitching failing me, except for maybe Keuchel.
True.
I'm gonna admit that. But up and down our lineup, I mean, when you got like Maldonado getting into the things are going well for you. You know what I mean? And I'm very interested to see if they modify the playoff roster at all in between series, because they're allowed to do that. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe they bring up like Josh James or something like that, which would be incredible. I still can't believe they let them off the roster, quite frankly. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward. It's looking like going to be a Boston series.
It is, because right now they're comfortably leading 4-1, and it's the top of the eighth inning. It's looking like we're gonna have a Boston series kicking off on Saturday night, and we finally get a night game, even though it's in the conference, but still we get a night game. Bregman was pretty upset about that. Thinks we're disrespected, and he has a point. And it's not just baseball; it's all across sports.
Exactly. Houston sports has it's like a gray cloud when it comes to coverage. Even when I want you to go back and think about this. I remember vividly as a kid when the Rockets went back to back, right? The big story was they only did that because Jordan retired. Really, because they were a good team, they played well together. Rudy T was a great coach. It was Jordan retired. That's why they won it.
Yeah.
And then when he came back, they didn't win it anymore. Well, when he came back, Houston was in the same team. And where he was gone, Thorpe was gone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was crucial missing pieces at that point. So, even when they're doing good, the Astros won a World Series, you would think they would get the prime placement.
Yeah.
On the skit. No. New York, Boston, old rivalry, Bambino crap. And next thing you know, Houston sweeps probably one of the only teams I think could actually give them a challenge and make a run for it. And it's baffling to me how much disrespect that all Houston teams get. I mean, you can go on a list. Rockets kind of get it for the most part because they're always chasing Golden State, right? And the Astros are, they're a relatively young franchise. Yeah, they won one, but here comes Boston. It's really annoying, man. It gets really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless talking about the Texans and Cowboys game, and they didn't talk about that sorry excuse of a show on FS1, but they weren't even talking about how good the Texans were in their victory. They were talking about how bad Dallas was losing. They didn't spend a single moment praising anything about Houston. I don't think Deshaun Watson's name was mentioned more than once. The disrespect, man, it's so real. I mean, we can't get any credit whatsoever. I mean,
None.
we win a World Series, and we're not in prime time. And this team means so much to this city. People like yourself who have to go out to work are missing these games. I mean,
Oh,
it's
oh,
it's
it kills
terrible.
me.
It's terrible.
It kills me, dude.
I mean, I'm thankful I work from home and I was able to watch it. But man, I mean, the disrespect again in all sports Houston related, it's terrible. I mean, I don't even want to think about, which is probably not going to happen anytime soon, but I don't even want to think about how much disrespect we'd get if the Texans won a Super Bowl. I mean, they'd probably spend the time talking about how bad the team we played was or something like that. We wouldn't even talk about our win. It's crazy, man. But back to the Astros. You know, this team is so strong and it's shaping up. This is a dynasty. I mean, this team is a dynasty, and we now know what the New England Patriots have felt like for the past several years. Because going forward, this team will be the New England Patriots of baseball. We are gonna make it, if not to the conference finals, to the World Series every year for the next several years, as long as we retain these core guys, and we will retain these core guys. This team's gonna be good for a long time. A long time.
It's such a relief to see a GM that understands the importance of young talent developing while bringing in established, experienced veterans. To me, they're the perfect hosh posh of players. They have the solid veterans, playoff experience. They have young youth exuberance, people coming into their prime, and seemingly all at the same time. I mean, it's it's kind of hard to imagine as a GM in any sport to being that successful to that degree, but here we are. We see the Astros and what they do and how they do it in such a convincing fashion. If they're down, they're never really out of it. You know, if they're up, it's probably going to be really hard to try and get them. I mean, it's just it's such a relief to go into a series or a game for that matter, and knowing that we've got a really good chance. Not a probability, and if they do certain things or do certain things that they'll win, but just based on who they have and where they have them, you can't sit there and go, I just don't trust them. I just don't trust the Astros to pull out. I just don't trust to hinge to substitute right, or I just don't trust Lunar's decision making in the off season when he lets certain people go. Like you don't question it. That's why you don't have a lot of Houston Astros fans that are so upset right now. Is because how can you be?
Exactly.
You can't be. There's so much going on with this team that it's almost hard to keep up with. And that, to me, is a very successful organization and franchise.
Los Angeles and Milwaukee. Who do you got representing the National League in the series?
Milwaukee, bro. Okay, out of all the teams that are left, the one team that I think could get to our pitching, could possibly get to our pitching, Milwaukee's got a powerhouse offense, dude. I'm not worried about the pitching. I mean, it's there and it's okay, but if you meet the Brewers and they get hot at the right time, even with Verlander and Cole, even though they're beasties they've been, man, they can get the pitchers, man, and they can get to them quick. So I would, on a personal note, I would love to see an old interdivisional rivalry in the World Series, the Brewers versus the Astros. You know, for all those years in the National League Central, playing the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Cubs, and all that crap. I would like to see anyone else but the Dodgers, and the reason why is because we've been there, done that. We already took that. We already took that dub.
Yeah.
You know, you came at us. Y'all gave us a good series, and we still got you.
Yeah.
So I mean, and again, you really didn't reload Machado. I mean, that's I guess your answer. So it's like, to me, it's I would much rather see the Brew Crew and the Stros go at it again than the friggin' Dodgers and this Astros again, because I gotta be honest with you, I don't think Dodgers this year would make it even close to what it was last year. That
Yeah,
Game 5 last year was
different team.
just unbelievable
Yeah,
on both sides.
yeah.
We just happened to come out
It
with
was
the
a great
dub.
series. It really was. Um,
Yeah,
Boston and New York, the middle of the eighth, same score. Boston's up 4-1. Anything can change. You never know, but it's looking like it's going to be Boston. Um,
yeah.
I honestly, I prefer Boston over New York. I really do. Um, but man, I don't want to sound too cocky, but this seems like I really do believe they're going to be back in the World Series. I won't say that they're going to win it all because I don't want to jinx anything, but I really have a good feeling. Whether it is New York or Boston, I was only worried about Cleveland. I really was. And after this, I really think we will be back in the World Series. And like you said, Milwaukee, that'd be a hell of a lot better than seeing a replay of last season. It really would, because
Exactly.
who wants to see the same two teams go at it? This isn't the NBA. We want to see something different. Um, how far do you think Boston takes it with us next?
See, I'm gonna actually surprise you on this. I say we take them in 5.
5.
I'd say we take them in 5.
Okay.
If you look at the pitching rotation,
You think we
look at the
drop
matchup.
one away?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think we dropped the first one,
Okay.
quite frankly,
Okay.
in my personal opinion. But I think we win the next 4. And to me, it's all based on pitching matchups and where they're at. Um, along with watching Boston's lineup, I know you had a guy that hit for the cycle in the net. It's very rare, and there's something I'm going to go over here in a minute about cycle hitting and how everyone seems to think it's not a big feat, and that really drives me insane. But anyways, we'll get back to that. But I have I'm going to be cocky. I'm going to shift the gears here, man, and normally I would play the safe route and go 6-7. It'll take 6 or 7. It'll be a good series. I'm gonna say, man, I think it's Houston in 5, dude. That's what I'm going with.
Well, my cocky pick would be for the World Series. I think we sweep either one, Milwaukee or the Dodgers. I honestly think we
Ooh.
will. I really do.
Ooh.
I really think we sweep either one.
That is a cocky pick.
The National League, from the beginning of the playoffs, none of those teams scared me. It was honestly only Cleveland and at the beginning New York scared me.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Mm-hmm. The Astros are legitimately the scariest team in the playoffs right now. I can't think of any other team, honestly, other than Boston. But even at that, just the matchup, pitching wise especially, not worried about it. Mm-hmm. So I would agree with you about 5 games. I just don't know. Maybe we drop the second. If Verlander's starting the first, I don't think we lose with Verlander. I really don't. If Verlander's starting the first game of the series, I
don't think they start with Verlander, believe it or not. I think they'll go. Look, with AJ Hinch, nothing's predictable. I love that about him. He could start Charlie Morton game 1. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, he's going to do what Luna and him do best, and they're going to use analytics. Who has the better arm versus Boston? You know what I mean? Obviously, they're not going to go Keuchel. You know what I mean? But it would not surprise me if still Charlie Morton or Mort Gord went out there with his ice water veins and threw 6 scoreless and hands it off to Presley, who does 1 scoreless, and then hands it off. It wouldn't shock me at all, because then if you think about it, that'll set up for everything else. I mean, let's say Morton takes loss. Well, then you got Verlander. I mean, anyway, you got Verlander, you got Cole, which I'll go ahead and count at two wins right there.
Yeah.
Keuchel historically has had really good series against Boston, believe it or not. I mean, I think he had one game that was really crappy, but for the most part, he's done pretty well against Boston. So I would count him on win two. That puts you at 3-1, and then you mean to tell me Charlie Morton wouldn't be a little pissed off about losing game one? Charlie Morton is like we said last time, he's a silent killer.
Yeah.
You can't tell, but it's there. It's you just see it, man. And so, and that's not to say that even in that case that they might throw Lance in the mix. Maybe Charlie goes 4, Lance goes 4. I mean, that's completely like they see he does so much analytical stuff that it's really hard to predict how Hinch will attack it. It all depends on what he thinks is the best matchup, and he'll, unlike O'Brien, he'll utilize his players to the best of their abilities and pull out a dub. So that's what I think.
Justin Verlander, two different questions. Does he win the Cy Young, and does he deserve the Cy Young award?
No, it's hard because I'm a homer when it comes. In my opinion, yes. But one could argue no. There's. I don't know, man. To me, I say yes, and I'll leave it at that. I just think he's the most dominant pitcher out there at this particular moment, followed closely by Garrett Cole, and that's saying a lot because there's a lot of great pitchers in the league. So, I gotta go homer on this one and say yes, man.
Yes, he deserves it, or yes, he wins it. Do you think he wins it?
I think he deserves it, but I don't think he wins it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the consensus feeling.
Wins always equate Cy Young. It's just how it's always been.
Man, I mean, did you have anything else you wanted to go over?
Yes, the cycle thing.
Yeah.
Okay. For those people that don't understand, that there have been less cycles hit in a game than no hitters in the history of baseball. Put that in perspective. It is harder to hit for the cycle than to throw a no-hitter historically in baseball. So when someone hits for the cycle and people are like, yeah, you hit for the cycle, and then, announcers are kind of wigging out about it, because most announcers are former players, right? So they understand how hard and how difficult that is. Even if you get like a double that turned into a triple, you know what I mean, and it counts as his box score says it's a triple, you still got to hit a home run. You got to hit another double, and you got to hit a single. And furthermore, your team has to be hitting with you to get to that point. Because realistically, you're only going to get really 3 at-bats in a game unless your people are hitting with you. So there's a lot more factors that go into it. I mean, would I say is this special as a perfect game? No. But it is very close. It's the closest thing to being a perfect hitter in a game. Look at it that way. It's not a perfect game pitch, but a perfect game hit. One would say, oh, well, if they hit 4 home runs in a game, that's a feat. No, I'm not gonna lie, that's special too. But if you hit over the fence, there's no need for you to run the bases. There's no need for you to show the all-around tools that it takes to actually be in a cycle. So, to me, it really frustrates me when, people are like, oh, I don't know why they're giving them so much play to hit for the cycle, because it's hard. It's extremely difficult. It is not easy. And again, one could argue that pitching a no-hitter in a lot of senses is a little bit easier than hitting for the cycle. Because you can hit for the cycle and have a walk, but you have to have 5 at-bats. Think about it. You could pitch a no-hitter but have 3 walks and an error. You know what I mean? To me, it's the perfect game. Yeah, that's probably a little. If I had to rank them from 1 to 3, I'd go perfect game is the hardest, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Because, 27 up, 27 down, that's incredible. Don't know how you slice it. And even then, you got to have some pretty good luck with spectacular play behind you as defense. And then I would say hitting for the cycle, then I'd say a no-hitter. And that's just a personal preference, because like I played football for years, but I also I was a two-sport guy. I was also a pitcher and a first baseman and a third baseman, and I've played the positions to where I understand that. I mean, for Christ's sake, I've almost thrown a no hitter in my time. You know what I mean? And I was a freshman in high school, and I had a no hitter going into the eighth. And I mean, yeah, it's great and all, but I've never hit for the cycle. Hell, I've never even come close. My big ass can't run the third, man. Are you kidding me? So it's just like it's difficult, and people don't understand that, and that drives me nuts because it's like, man, give credit where the credit's due, man. So
Well, Boston and New York are at the top of the ninth. It is 4-1. I do not see the score changing unless it is in favor of Boston going up a few more. It's looking like Houston, Boston. That is going to be your conference finals.
it's the Stun series. The
This
Boston and Houston series, the Sun series, man.
so we will have in our next episode at least one game of the Boston and Astros series under our belts. We'll also be talking about Buffalo and the Texans, and we will actually be able to start talking about some Rocket stuff pretty soon because they're about to kick off the regular season. I believe the 17th they opened the season against the Pelicans. They're wrapping up preseason pretty soon. But yeah, this is around the time that sports really starts to kick off this time of year. You got basketball starting, baseball's in the playoffs, football's smack in the middle of the season. I mean, this is a good time for sports fans.
It's a great time of year, man. So much to look forward to. If you're a sports fanatic, man, it doesn't matter what team you're with, but if you just love sports in general, now is like a killer time to be involved with. Either getting to know your team or rooting for your team. It's a great time to be a sports fan, and furthermore, it's a great time to be a sports fan in Houston, no less. So.
Yeah, for sure. All right, James, is there anything that you wanted to plug before we get out?
You know what? I have nothing to plug this time except for thank you guys for spending your time with us. Time is precious, and we understand that. And we hope that you guys continue to listen to our podcast, and we'll bring you more and more things as the year goes on. And I look forward personally to getting back to doing draft analysis because that's kind of my specialty.
Oh yeah,
And
I'll tell you, you
yeah.
can scout some offensive linemen, man. I've watched your channel over the years, even though your videos aren't there anymore. But you have predicted
Oh,
a hell of a lot of star offensive linemen in the NFL right out of the draft. I mean, it's
yeah.
it's crazy.
It's a knack, yeah. But at the same time, I don't get paid to do it. Maybe one day I will. Who knows? But I honestly, I gotta say, if the Houston Texans ever come knocking for a scouting guy for an offensive lineman, I promise you, Houston fans, that I would have a solid O line
Oh yeah.
for this team for years. So
All
I
right.
don't got nothing, man. Just thank you guys for coming out, and John, thank you for again hosting the podcast, and we'll keep going and move on from there. So
Yeah, and I am John Fuentes. Make sure for all your Texans news, go check out TexansWire.com from USA Today. We will see you back next week. Boston, Houston, and Texans, Bills. We will talk about those next week. We'll see you later.
bye, guys.